Wine has soul, listen to it. Music has soul, taste it. What emotions do they each evoke in you? Where do they take you? What is the soundtrack? This is a series that pairs wine with music in a differentiated way. Our focus, is on the relationship between wine and music, the emotional side of both. Sometimes the wine chooses the music, and sometimes the music chooses the wine. There is no right or wrong, they just both enhance one another. We will not get sommelier deep and detailed, but rather keep it broad and memorable to wine regions and styles and appellations and varietals. And we will try to categorize our music pairings into 5 neat genres. We will begin by talking about the wine itself and the subjective and emotional side of it, and then get into the music pairings with some wine facts and rationale and some music, but overall, oh, so very subjective. So let's go. Rieslings from Alsace, France. I love dry Rieslings. Alsatian Rieslings are bright and optimistic, though the history of this region is a bit dusky and complicated. Rieslings can vary from very dry to very sweet, and the Alsatian Rieslings are dry. The Riesling grape itself is a light-skinned grape with naturally high acidity, and it produces light to medium-bodied wines that are noticeably aromatic, even when chilled, and they're crisp and bright. When bringing up to your nose, you will immediately notice the intense fruity and sometimes citrusy aromas of peaches, nectarines, apple, pear, and you may detect some other undertones as well, such as jasmine or even lime peel. When tasting and drinking, Alsatian Riesling is crisp, lively, and distinctive. It is remarkable and memorable because on the palate, it has both a quenching and mouth-watering characteristic to it. To me, the history and heritage of Alsace, along with the characteristics of their Riesling wines, informs the mood and sentiment and music pairing. This French wine region is situated along the Rhine River just across from Germany. In a 75-year period that spans 3 to 4 generations of wine producers in Alsace, the wine community's nationality changed 5 times. They began French. At the end of the Franco-German War in 1871, the German Empire annexed Alsace. About 48 years later, with the Treaty of Versailles ending World War I, Alsace went back to France. Then in the early 1940s during World War II, Germany annexed Alsace again. And about 5 years later, in 1945, Alsace returned to France. Throughout the generations and regardless of borders and nationality, these wine producers were a community to support one another through the daily life and state du jour. This portrays to me a wine community steeped in local and family heritage and an unspoken familial understanding of their Alsatian brothers and sisters, which includes cautious optimism, tempered patriotism, and even Thanksgiving. Their self-assured pride shines and radiates in every glass of Riesling, confident in themselves and their heritage, and celebrating their subdued pride in the moment with the bright, optimistic Riesling wines that they produce. For pairing big band swing and standards, I think it is very fitting to pair an Alsatian Riesling with Always True to You in My Fashion by Ella Fitzgerald. Cole Porter wrote this for the Kiss Me Kate musical in 1948. It is musically upbeat with lyrics that are a bit more complicated. As it relates to pairing with an Alsace Riesling, it communicates a complex optimism. And although I interpret Rieslings as very optimistic, this particular song gets there, but the song needs to be taken in the context of the whole verses. On the surface, you hear a peppy big band style arrangement that keeps it light and bright. Lyrically, this song nods to the complexity of loyalties and relationships, which seems relevant when thinking about the Alsace wine region of France. Situated on the Rhine River right across from Germany, this national border shifted 4 times in a 75-year period, impacting and imprinting on multiple generations of winemakers. But here is also where the optimism comes in. Just like at the end of each verse, I will always be true to you in my own fashion. While Alsatian national identities and loyalties were pragmatic and complicated by the state du jour, they were true to their well-being of their Alsatian wine industry and community in their own fashion, with the enduring focus on being true to the land, true to the family, and true to the wine community in their own fashion. A great chanteuse and crooners pairing for an Alsace Riesling is Haley Lauren's rendition of Sunny Side of the Street. While this song is very much a standard, This chanteuse-style interpretation and presentation, like a dry Riesling, is forward-moving and toe-tapping, with a certain sass that says, "Damn it, I'm staying on the sunny side of the street." Grab your coat and get your hat, leave your worries on the doorstep, just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. And the generations of Alsatians have chosen to direct their feet to the sunny side of the street as well. With their storied heritage and recent history of shifting French-German borders, and state du jour and all that comes with that, the Alsace wine community walked on the sunny side of the street to produce beautiful, bright, crisp, and memorably aromatic and flavorful Riesling wines. The finale of Carnival of the Animals by French composer Camille Saint-Saëns seems like a very fitting pairing for Alsace Riesling for multiple reasons. First, the finale movement is very triumphant, celebratory, and optimistic. It has a brightness and a cheerfulness that keeps you just bouncing and sipping and tasting and pouring. And it stays elevated with both glee and complexity, just like a Riesling from the Alsace region of France does. Second, this whole body of work entitled Carnival of Animals consists of 14 smaller pieces or animals: lion, swan, kangaroos, pianist, tortoise, and others. The whole work is whimsical and expressive, with each animal movement having its own identity, feeling, and arrangement, which could represent the complexity of the Alsatian heritage. The finale, however, concludes by being bright, distinct, punctuated, and celebratory. It is definitely a carnival to celebrate Alsace Riesling. Oh yeah, and the third, Camille Saint-Saëns was a French composer. Oui, oui. For pairing an Alsace dry Riesling with funk, soul, and R&B, I go with 3 a.m. Funk Dance Party, which has Star Blaster and Scary Pockets coming together to make incredibly smooth and easygoing grooves and jams for enjoying a Riesling. There are a lot of similarities between this song and this wine. The song begins with a gong, which catches your attention, just like the Riesling aromas on the nose are intense and attention-grabbing. And like Riesling, this song is easygoing and approachable and very aromatic just through and through. It has a really nice, reliable bass line that keeps you oriented to the varietal, and the punctuated and catchy guitar work keeps it sharp and crisp and bright, just like the Riesling. A bit later in the piece, the organ-style keyboard comes in with really great and meaningful undertones of flavor. Of note, Star Blaster and Scary Pockets have a series of these AM dance party songs, and each go on and on and on for quite a while, just like the generations of Alsatian wine community have endured and who produce these amazing Riesling wines that we get to drink today. For pairing jazz and bebop with an Alsatian dry Riesling, I go to Get Into It by Christian McBride. This is a great toe-tapping, forward-moving, and optimistic jazz and bebop song to pair with this Riesling. Christian McBride's bass is a constant presence, as well as the piano, sometimes in the foreground, but always strong and foundational, much like the backbone of a Riesling. Always there and reminding us of the core of why this dry Riesling is so good and solid. It's bright, crisp, punctuated, memorable. And then the brightness of the horns and then the saxophone bring out the flair of the Riesling, the intense aromas that come out of a freshly poured glass. And further undertones of the flavors are represented by the drummer and the just right percussion. Take a listen and pour a glass of an Alsace Riesling. It is a synergistic celebration of the moment. For pairing an Alsace dry Riesling with this category of no boundaries, I think that DJ Who's song, In My Bones, is quite fitting on a few different levels. This easygoing 80s Kool and the Gang-esque dance vibe is so optimistic and just radiates good feelings, just as Alsace Rieslings have bright optimism that is memorable and catchy. On a literal level, In My Bones is a song about coming together, celebrating, and moving forward, as if the lyrics are being sung by an Alsatian to a bottle of Riesling. I was alone with fears of being tired, lost alone and afraid that my heart expired. Now baby, you're all mine because I've got that feeling in my bones. And that feeling in the bones is the bright, memorable, move forward attitude of this dry Riesling. On a metaphorical level, that feeling in my bones, the line that repeats throughout the song, refers to the DNA and heritage of the Alsace, the shared history, identities, and experiences of generations of Alsatians that make them great, of which the moving forward bright optimism is represented in every glass of this Riesling. To get right into a wine's playlist, go into Spotify or Tidal and search on wine and music pairing, and then go into the wine's playlist itself. You will see each wine's playlist, which has about 6 songs from different genres.